Fueled by anticipation for the Matrix Brothers' next movie and glowing reviews, V for Vendetta topped the box office sales with its weekend debut at $26.1 million, only $1 million less than the debut of the Wachowskis' earlier blockbuster, The Matrix. V for Vendetta, the Wachowski brothers' latest movie, is based upon the graphic novel by the same title written by Alan Moore. Moore is considered the Shakespeare of comic writers. Moore's graphic novels like League of Extraordinary Men, starring Johnny Depp, and others like From Hell and Constantine, or John Constantine, Hellblazer, have all become movies. V for Vendetta teaches the unsuspecting masses some of the same Antichrist doctrines that are found in the Wachowski brothers' other films, bound in the Matrix. What so much of the general public is unaware of, and so many Christians don't have a clue about, is that so many of these movies are based upon Satanism. In fact, Alan Moore, who wrote the books that these movies are based upon, Alan Moore is actually a practitioner of Satanist Aleister Crowley's black magic. Moore has stated, quote, "I'd known about Crowley ever since I was 12, when I had my spate of reading Dennis Wheatley occult paperbacks and being told that Aleister Crowley was the wickedest man in the world. There are references to Crowley in V for Vendetta. Aleister Crowley, the most highly regarded Satanist of the last 100 years, believed that he was being used by Satan as his, quote, chief of staff, end quote, to prepare the world for the destruction of Christianity and the acceptance of the Antichrist. Moore not only admits to becoming demon-possessed after practicing Crowley's magic, but admits that his objective was to become a more effective writer. V for Vendetta is actually a diabolical propaganda film wherein Aleister Crowley's New World Order run by the Nietzschean Superman is outlined in his satanic manifesto, the Book of the Law. This includes a wholesale slaughter of Christians and a bloodbath that brings an atmosphere conducive to the rise of the beast in fulfillment of what Crowley called the Age of Horus. What you are about to discover is that V for Vendetta is a bold and almost prophetic picture of the Crowleyan ideal for ushering in the Age of Horus in replacement of the Age of Jesus Christ, or the dying God. Aleister Crowley's Satanic Manifesto, the Book of the Law, was based upon the credo for the Satanic New Age called "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Crowley stated, "With my hawk's head I will peck out the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross." In the Book of the Law, Aleister Crowley actually teaches a sacrifice of children. He teaches elsewhere that the best sacrifice is that of an innocent male child. And he also teaches the sacrifice of young virgin girls and the dismemberment of their bodies and writing the names of the demons upon their limbs. In fact, Moore quotes Crowley's satanic maxim, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," in V for Vendetta repeatedly throughout the graphic novel. Here on page 217, we see V telling Evie, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." On page 187 of the graphic novel, we see V, after committing a string of murders and bringing anarchy, quoting Crowley again, stating, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Here we see V telling Evie that if she wants him to murder somebody for him, that she's just to pick a rose. He says, quote, "To pick a flower is not a large thing. Understand what is being offered here, and do as thou wilt." Aleister Crowley, the Satanist, Satan's chief of staff as he called himself, he had stated that to influence popular culture, that his followers to get in touch with demons, basically sell their souls and channel these demons to affect the masses. To be sure, it seems clear that Moore was channeling these entities long before he began practicing Crowley's magic, whether he was always conscious of it or not. He also claims to be in touch with a demonic entity that is, quote, highly skilled in mathematics and in the visual arts. Perhaps besides Moore's Gnosticism, his channeling of a demon that specializes in the visual arts also motivated the Wachowskis to adapt his satanic V character to the big screen. Moore claims that he turned to magic because he wanted to open himself up to occult forces that would help him in his writing ability. He stated, quote, "I found that I couldn't progress any further with writing by strict rationality. If I wanted to go further with my writing, make it more intense, more powerful, make it say what I wanted to say, I had to take a step beyond technique and rational ideas about writing into something that was trans-rational, if you will, this being magic." The New York Times christened V for Vendetta a blockbuster blowout that, quote, "puts vengeance in man over forgiveness in God," and further acknowledged that, quote, "objections have been raised about whether V for Vendetta turns a terrorist into a hero, which is precisely what it does. However, the New York Times would have us believe, the glorification of evil notwithstanding, that it was not really subversive."